Hello, everyone. It is so good to be back with you. What a day we have had learning all about fundraising and the pathways to capital. I hope you're feeling inspired and I hope you can't wait to get out of here and get going. I want to thank you for spending the day with us. We know your time is valuable. You're all running businesses. And so it does take a little effort to set aside the time that you've done today. We are bringing it home with an amazing panel called Bring On the Angel Investors. Just when it all seems like it might not be going our way, the angels are going to land. And I have three amazing women to talk on this panel right now. We're going to dive into what angel investing is, how you as founders can access it, how you prepare for success in those first meetings, and then how to decide if angel investing is actually right for you and for your business. So let me welcome these three amazing women. I'm going to start with Reshma Sohoni. She's joining us from London. She's the managing partner of Seedcamp, the European seed fund she co-founded in 2007. So she is definitely a lady who has launched. She had a really strong belief that European entrepreneurs have the power to compete at a global scale, which as a European, I completely agree with. And over a decade later, Seedcamp has pioneered the European early stage investment landscape, backing nearly 400 companies. So she knows her stuff, including Romanian founded UiPath, publicly listed now, and other unicorns like Wise, formerly TransferWise, Revolut, WeFox, and Hopin, which is actually the platform we're using today. So that's Reshma. Next up, my dear friend and actually neighbor, April Underwood. April is the founding partner of the Angel Investing Collective, #Angels, and a member of the board of directors of Zillow Group. Until 2019, April was the chief product officer at Slack, and before Slack, she was at Twitter. So she really knows her stuff in terms of building really big, impactful companies. She's also held product partnerships and engineering roles at Google, Travelocity, and Intel. And I will tell you, she is the bomb. And then finally, Chang, who is the co-founder and chief design officer of Crave, a San Francisco-based company specializing in aesthetic pleasure products. We all need a little of that. T leads the design vision for the company's full line of products, which has won international design awards and has led Crave to mainstream partnerships with the likes of Nordstrom, MoMA Design Store, Standard Hotel, Goop, and Saint Laurent. T joins us to share her successful experience raising funds with angel investors. So she's actually doing the do. Okay, so let's kick it off. April, I'm actually going to start with you. Can you just share a definition of angel investing? What the heck is it? How does it work? And when should a business owner or an entrepreneur consider it as a financing option?
Yeah, absolutely. So as Sarah shared, I've been an angel investor for about 7 years. I've also been a founder before and raised from investors, both institutional, meaning large firms, as well as angel investors. So angel investing is, definitionally, it is raising money from individual people. There are a lot of different terms you may hear in the industry. There's seed stage, which is actually about the stage. There's friends and family, which is very confusing because I think it usually indicates it's before seed. But it sounds like it's describing the people, but I guess, some folks have a pretty broad definition of friends, so it doesn't necessarily have to be people you went to college with. But angel investors, angel investing really refers to who's writing the check. And in the case of angels, it's an individual person. And so what I think is most interesting about angel investing and important to understand as a founder is that angel investors have a wide variety of reasons that they angel invest. And so understanding why a given investor wants to invest, what motivates them is really important. Important to decide how to pitch them, but also important to decide if they're right for you. And so the great thing about angel investors as well is that they actually have so much freedom in terms of when they invest, that they could invest at seed, they could invest at Series A. And as an angel investor, I have even invested in companies at Series C or Series D that are much more mature companies because I get to make my own decisions about when I'm investing. I don't have my own investors that dictate, what types of companies I can back. So angel investors have a ton of freedom. And they have a wide variety of reasons that they may want to invest, from financial returns to a desire to mentor, to a desire to be involved with cool new things. There's a long list of reasons people may want to angel invest, and we can unpack some of that more. But what that means is I think angel investors can be a great fit for a lot of companies at a variety of different stages and a variety of different spaces if you find investors whose interests are really aligned with yours. And that's one of the most important things to look for at any point of fundraising from anyone.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So I've done some angel investing myself, and I think you're happening into finding the sweet spot for that angel investor. In my case, I'm very driven by women, as you all know, those of you that have met me and those of you that have yet to meet me. The other sweet spot for me is the UK, Northern Ireland, Ireland. So when you get into that zone of the broader British Isles, I really want to see businesses get founded. I'm a big believer that there's a ripple effect. And in fact, even if you're not successful in that first business, it's just great for the economy. It's a great way to learn. And what I see is that people coming out of companies that maybe weren't successful the first time tend to become the founders of the future. So I'm kind of investing broadly because I want to see particularly Northern Ireland rise. So if you can find someone who has a particular passion for your space, it might be your product, it might be your location, it might be who you are and the type of community you support. That's a good way to think about getting into an angel investor network. T, okay, I'm going to switch over to you to talk a little bit as someone who's raised several rounds now of angel investment. How did you find your investor, and how did you decide if they were right for you? Because it's a two-way, it's kind of a date, right? You have to like them, but they have to like you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we started looking for angel investors in earnest once we were getting ready to launch our very first product. And we did it in a way that was back in 2011 with crowdfunding at a time when I think at that point in time, a lot of folks were looking at crowdfunding as a way to see if there is genuine market interest and, if the product, actually has legs. And as our first product, it was a total success. We met our goal within 24 hours. And at that point in time, that's when we strategically started really reaching out to, and also just inbound angel investors who just loved what we were doing, and wanted to get involved. So in that respect, that's kind of where we started. And in terms of how we determined whether or not they're a good fit for Crave, well, let me back up, but also through how we found them, other than inbound, but also my co-founder, who has also built 3 companies in the past. There were some folks from his network, that was able to also help contribute, to this. But ultimately, how we decided whether to bring them on, very similar to what April was saying, is that if there is a personal reason that connected with what we were doing. So the mission of the company is that we believe pleasure is hugely important. And if they believe that and they want to help us raise, elevate pleasure products in this space, we wanted to have them because in a way they were not only investors, but they were also evangelists for the brand. And so in that respect, that was a great fit. And then we also look for folks that, from a small company side at that point in time, we didn't want someone who's going to be constantly breathing down our backs, constantly asking us questions, that will take us time away from doing our actual jobs and, and then spending the time, in answering, pesky investors, especially since we were doing well. I understand when you're not doing good, investors want to be like, hey, what's going on? But yeah, so that was kind of all of these things that came into play for us.
Yeah, I think you're pulling out a number of really important things I want to make sure the audience hears. Number one is not just bringing their money, but what else can they bring for you? So I think that influence is key because if they're passionate about your products, they're going to talk about it. And if you can find people who have big social media followings, for example, or other ways to influence, that can be a big unlock. I think the second point you made there about breathing down your neck, which is trying to decide what someone's style is, but also knowing a little bit where they are in their own personal financial journey, like how important is this single investment to them is a good thing to understand because angel investing is not for the faint of heart. And that's why I do think if you're going to do it, you should do it for other reasons too, rather than just a return, because there's probably more financially disciplined ways to think about returns. But if you can find someone in a different stage of their financial journey, they can be a little bit more hands off and not just every week, month, quarter, year, exactly did you hit your goals? Because it's never just straight up and to the right.
And I just forgot to mention also part of that journey, we were also on Angel List, which was also a huge help for us in that we were able to, aggregate a large number of investors, and we don't have 70 lines on our cap sheet. It's just one single syndicate. And that really made that, much more manageable. And also was an easy on-ramp for other just interested investors to find us in a very, easy onboarding way.
So just quickly, what is Angel List? Like, how do you go? You go www.angellist.com?
Yes, that's correct. So it's essentially like a Kickstarter for companies. And so instead of Kickstarter, for example, it's a crowdfunding platform where you can back products and projects. This is a platform that's strictly for investors to back your business, and they can drop 5,000, 10,000, etc. So
with equity, though, with equity, not just not as a customer getting your product. You actually get
that is correct. That is correct. Right. It's all about investing equity. Yes, in companies. Yeah.
So Reshma, actually, great segue to you. Equity. There's a big word that sometimes not everyone knows exactly what that means. So maybe just a beat on that, but then more broadly, how does Seedcamp find entrepreneurs to invest in? Do you normally go find the entrepreneurs? Do they find you? Yeah. What does that initial contact look like? Take us through a little bit of that journey.
Yeah, and I think a lot of what April and T said is about understanding your audience of angel investors, pre-seed and seed investor, VC investors, or later stage investors. I think do the homework, and there's so much about us, for example, out on our website and just different publications as well as social media. So I think we are very clear about a strategy. And we do have fiduciary duty on behalf of a bunch of limited partners who put, who come together to put money behind us as managers. So a very clear distinction between, as April really articulated well, angels and institutions, right? Is I'm managing. So my responsibilities are different. How I think is different, and it's ours to communicate with entrepreneurs those differences, but also for entrepreneurs to, I think, do some of that homework. But how do we get deal flow? Again, we talk about these things differently, as even the language is different, and it's not bad or good. You just have to understand the kind of money you're bringing in, and so our investments come to us, particularly from our founders and angels to a large extent. So we co-invest a lot with angel investors, or angel investors follow on into our companies. As April said, she can go a long distance and even come in at a pre-IPO, whereas strategically we cannot. We must come in because of our fund strategy at pre-seed and seed. So yes, we do rely a lot on our network, our relationships with the founders we've backed, which are nearly 1,000. And then some of our own limited partners in our fund are angels, and then just angel investors. So, reputation matters a lot, right? And then I think as particularly even more so as an institution, reputation is something we think a lot about, and doing well by our co-angel investors like in April, or you, Sarah, in Medall, to founders like T who we would back. So it really is long term, and it's a real it is this ecosystem that constantly kind of flywheel that works with each other.
Yeah, I mean the word that is springing to mind is networking, and I realize for many of the women listening, often I hear a couple of things. Number one, it feels kind of weird and icky to toot my own horn too much. Like, get over it. You are building a business. You just need to get out there, because even great work is just not going to be found accidentally. You need to be constantly out there promoting why your product, why your service, why what you're doing is better than everybody else out there. And then the second thing is taking this time, right? You all just made the time to come to this virtual summit. Think of it as a big networking event. Like, what are you going to do after the summit to do some reach out, for example? Because it's the serendipity of the network, to me, that is where a lot of the ideas and angel opportunities come from. April,
I have a
I'm
little
sorry, go ahead,
story to
Reshma.
share, because I do think, you know, people go to events and they don't do the homework. To me, it's so much is down to the homework. Who's the attendee list? You know, who's speaking? Again, ensuring that if you're pitching to Sarah, you know, she's just told on a stage she's interested in a particular geography or a particular stage, or April's built these products, which were, you know, pretty amazing product-led growth, right? Do that homework so you have something to say, so that it's a meaningful conversation. And my story is about Kevin Ryan, who, if you don't know, people don't know, study him. I mean, MongoDB, Business Insider, Gilt Group, like what a diversity of businesses. And I saw him at a conference 4 months ago, and he was sitting there studying the book of who was attending. And I was like, man, if Kevin's doing that, you know, the rest of us should really be doing that, because he knows everyone, and everyone was like lining up to talk to him. But here he was taking a moment out and was really figuring out who should he, you know, proactively reach out to. So I just think it's not above anyone. I think everyone should be doing that homework, and it won't feel then promotional. It'll feel like I've really met someone else who's very passionate about ABC.
Yeah, absolutely. I always appreciate if someone pings me ahead of time if I'm going to something, because it shows they did the work and they care enough to make the ask. April, how do you find your investments? And maybe if there's any good anecdote in there, let rip.
Yeah. Well, so one of the things, so Reshma just mentioned that some of her deal flow, so that means, you know, companies that she looks at investing in, come from angel investors. And then I'm about to tell you that as an angel investor, most of my deal flow comes from firms. So let me unpack that a little bit. I mean, I think the first thing to know is that the investor community talks to each other a lot. And so I think that's an important thing for founders just to truly understand, is that you need one story about your business, and it needs to be the same every single time you tell it, because the idea that that investors don't trade notes on companies is just frankly unrealistic. And so what that also means is, you know, what you're going to find with institutions is oftentimes ownership is really important to them. So they're looking to invest enough in a round that they hit their own ownership targets, because that's how they are going to have a successful fund. Angel investors are much more flexible on pricing. However, I just told you that the funds oftentimes pull myself and my #angel partners in, and that's because we are what I would call what folks are calling operator angels. We are folks who have run businesses. We have I led product at Slack. You know, I was at Twitter from 150 to 15, actually no, 4,000 people, and so I've been through these growth stages, and so investors oftentimes bring me in and say, hey, you should try to get April or the #angels onto your cap table because of the expertise that we actually bring, and the ways that we can help those founders. And so there is this strange sort of catch-22 of where do you begin? Do you get the angels first and then use those angels to sort of show credibility? Or more often, angels are going to say, I don't write checks until you have a lead. And so they're going to be looking to see that somebody is going to take the lead on a round, because they are not in a position to write checks large enough for that. And they're not looking to take board seats or do other things to actually help steward the company. And so you know, there's a lot more writing on this online that you can find, but I think just sort of thinking through sort of the sequencing of, you know, ideally first getting an institution to be excited, and then filling out the round with those angels, with the #angels. That would be great, but with angels in general. And so we find deals from other founders, from lead investors that want to get us involved with their companies. And then we do sometimes meet folks out in the ecosystem at those networking events, or frankly, through my network of people that may have worked in my organizations. When they go on to found companies, I'm always going to want to write them a check if there's any commonality in what they're working on in my interests, because I want, you know, I'm somebody rooting for, so I might as well have some skin in the game as they go after these big bets. So so it's all very human, and there's a lot of personal sort of drivers as to why angel investors get connected to somebody and why they decide to write a check. And the connections, the deal flow really kind of flows between all of these different constituents in the ecosystem.
Yeah, and
T, you were dying to jump in.
Yeah.
Go for it.
No, that was
Great.
awesome. I think that's awesome. And I think I also want to share another perspective in that I did not attend a lot of these networking events because for me, that was kind of outside of my circle. However, one of the ways that we found a lot of angel investors, because, ultimately, like April said, they're just individuals that if you can find that commonality, they would be interested. And so when we launch our product, if you do something that is newsworthy, noteworthy, and media wants to write about it, that media once our project got out there, like our very first project, like it was actually overwhelming the amount of press that we got, and the people that kind of came in just was like, hey, you guys are doing this is really interesting. Are you guys looking for funding? Are you guys looking to take on more investors? And every time you do something that's newsworthy and that gets out there, that also in a way can bring in unexpected surprises. So I also want to just kind of
absolutely. I mean, I think in that way, in a way, it is a sense of networking because it's on media, right? And then maybe one to many, but still. But I think all of that is validation. We're all, I think, saying the same thing. Is like people are looking for validation because once you are, hey, have you heard of Google? Once it becomes that, you don't need the validation because you got customer or user validation, right? Because we're all still investing in so many years before and so many stages before that you constantly need some level of validation, and that's where you get it, whether it's the press or so when we do the same thing, it's like, I read this article, I'm passionate, I'm gonna cold email T, right? And so that's the number one word is validation.
And I'll be curious if Reshma and T agree with me on this, but I want to make something explicit that may be implicit for us, which is that Twitter is where a lot of this conversation happens. And maybe there are other places too. I'd love to hear if there are. But I have to say, even if you're not a big Twitter user, you don't love to tweet, investors hang out there. And so I have definitely gotten pings from folks on Twitter where I've sort of learned about their business or started to like get a sense that there was something there on Twitter. And then when they end up in my inbox, I'm much more likely to respond to that email.
I would actually second that as well. Social media has really democratizes access to various people that normally you would not have been able to. And I would also say that it's great to reach out to folks, but don't look too thirsty because that's not a good look.
I love that. Okay, I'm going to flip the conversation the other way before we run out of time, which is as the person owning the business. So T, maybe I'll start with you. Why would you you've talked a little bit about the influencers and the operator and so on, but how do you decide if this is the right form of investing for you? Because today we've learned about, friends and family, we've learned about maybe taking debt, like you could go to the SBA, like Isabel talked about earlier. You can go to other organizations. Why take angel funds?
That's a great question. So when I started with my co-founder, we realized the amount of money that we needed was actually not a tremendous amount because both of our backgrounds were solidly in products and manufacturing. And so we actually had the expertise and we made a really great team in that we didn't have to spend more money to get talent and, have skills that we didn't have already in-house. And so we knew we didn't need a lot. So that's one reason we didn't go into VC. And so with Angel, what was interesting is that because what we do, this is pleasure. And pleasure is a supercharged and personal space. And the people who believe in empowering women through pleasure, through products like these, it is a way to really, they're just so much more connected to you and they become that evangelist that you need. And so, it had to do with the amount and the kind of people that could help our business. Because also, as we know, pleasure products are very much censored on social media in many, many areas. And so it's almost like you need that real organic word of mouth from those investors to kind of, even bring in more of that. So that was kind of part of our strategy.
Yeah, I think two great points. And I think the amount of money required is really important because remember, this is early in your life cycle as a company. And so if you're going to give equity, right, you're giving it at a very early moment in time. Reshma, maybe you could talk to that too. Like, when do you think it's right for a business to say angel is right for me, or even as you move up into your zone of more seed capital?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a lot about being honest and ambitious about your next 12 months, right? And so we do go back to first principles. Is here you are in this business moment, and what are you trying? What are you really trying to accomplish? And usually a 12 to 18 month time frame is predictable. Maybe not in these days of the pandemics and all, but that seems to be predictable, right? A lot of these things came from first very common sense principles, things that we're not going to get into, but vesting schedule, why 4 years? Like, they came from very sensible things, and they've either, gotten out of hand or whatnot. But so, you kind of look at 12 to 18 months and say, well, what do I need to accomplish? I really need 7 more of these people. I really need to build the potential customers are asking me for another 4 features before they're willing to spend more or to spend for the next 12 months or six months, right? So it's it's common sense. And then sort of packaging all that up is to say, well, what kind of capital is out there for the journey I want? And, we definitely work with angels who say, hey, this does not need to be a VC business, and I'm happy to keep putting up to $1 million, $1.5 million in, and it's going to be a certain kind of business, which will not need VC money for actually a decade, and maybe in 10 years we might think about it, or 5 years. And then other angels, same angels, will say, but for these sets of businesses, this is growing fast. This is, Hopin wants to be the fastest growing company in Europe ever. Like, it is Johnny's, objective, right? Like, not ultimate objective, but it's an objective. And so he is putting himself on that path, treadmill, highway, whatever you want to call it. And just, again, to really be honest and really have that assessment of you as a founder or the founding team wanting to go on these very specific journeys. Because one of the things we say, and I literally had a conversation with one of our founders today, and I said, you become an employee. The minute you take external funding, you are now an employee of that company. That company is what people put equity, or money into for equity. They didn't do it in you. And so you are beholden to this business now as a shareholder, of course, but as a CEO employee or CTO employee. And it changes things, right? And so you got to be okay with that, to bring in that extra dollar of shareholder money. And then the journey, is it a fast one, slower one? Is it VC heavy? And therefore you're going to be into the Twitter world. If you want to stay out of that, then it's a different, so you should know what you're signing up to. I think that's the biggest thing.
I also want to add that one of the things that I learned is that you don't want to take more money than you need, because you actually have to pay it all back. I think in Silicon Valley, and then some, in order to make that money, and being in Silicon Valley is so alluring to be like wrapped up in like, oh my God, they raised 10 million, they raised 200 million. It's like, but they have to pay all of that back, and they're not even there yet. And so it's one of those things that it's like the journey that you want to be on, like you said, Reshma, and act appropriately.
Yeah. April, do you want to add anything on top of, in terms of, as a on the other side, the types of companies that you've invested in, why were they right for angel funding in your mind?
Well, I think a lot of that, just the things I said earlier, were that they were founders that I thought had an experience set that gave them sort of like an unfair advantage to go after the opportunity. It could be their passion. It could be what they've actually done before in prior chapters. There's some sort of track record or evidence to me that this is a founder that is somebody I want to make a bet on. But then also, and this is where there's no right or wrong, but it needs to be in a space where I'm excited about it. It took me a few years as an investor to realize that. As an angel investor, early on, you're sort of proving you're an angel investor. So you're writing checks. But at some point, you're like, well, I need to help the companies I've backed. So I should only back the companies where I'm going to continue to really have excitement about their space. But the last just quick tip I'll add is that, much like in any interview, if you go out and interview for a job, I would say, if you're talking 70% of the time rather than hearing answers from the interviewer, then something's not right there. And I would say that's definitely true when you're pitching investors. Yes, you're pitching, you're selling, but you should also be hearing about what are other companies you've backed? How have you helped them? And if they're uncomfortable with you having those questions, that also is very telling. And so finding that right fit, again, you really have to approach this as a combination sale but also learning exercise, which, by the way, is what sales is in any case. So I'll leave you with that.
That is perfect. We're actually, believe it or not, at the end of this panel. It went too fast. If I were to quickly summarize a little bit of what I heard, number one, when you're thinking about angel investing, set milestones, know how much money you need to raise, be really thoughtful about your business, right? You're really bringing in someone who's going to own a slice of your company. Think about it as more than just money. I think T said it really well about influencers, particularly in a space that might be a little bit more controversial. I think April said it well when she talked about being an operator. Like, I always look for operators who are going to help me run my business and come up with great ideas. Recruiting is another place I think a lot about when I bring in someone who is an investor or when I'm investing, because it's all about the people in the end. Second big thing I heard was like network like crazy. So there's no wasted time in networking. It will come back in some future state. And I think Reshma's story about doing your homework. Do your homework, ladies. One story, April's point about all investors talk to each other. So true. So one story. And then finally, that point about it's kind of a two-way street, right? You shouldn't only be in pitch mode. I often find women in particular get a little anxious in the pitch and they're suddenly talking all the time. It's okay to pause and have some silence and think about what you're getting back. It is two-way. This is not just you selling. They are selling back at you. And then just on resources, angel list, definitely worth looking at, #angels. Ladies Who Launch, come look at our launch program and look at everything that we have in the Launch Academy. And then Twitter. I know most of you adore platforms like Instagram because that's where you're really influencing and selling your product. But investors really do hang out on Twitter where they have all their boring conversations about returns and stuff. But they are also very interested in the companies that they might find. So with that, thank you, amazing panelists. What a great conversation. Thank you all of you who joined us and spent a whole day with your Ladies Who Launch community. As I mentioned, the launch program, final applications are due Sunday, March 27th. So don't leave it too late. And remember, it's more than just the money. It's an amazing coaching and mentorship opportunity as well. Thanks for all the amazing work you're doing. Thanks for leading in your communities. We can't wait to see you soon, hopefully in real life. We're supporting you all through 2020 and into the years to come. Thanks a million.